Good morning. Welcome to Northwest, a Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Bruce Fowler. I'm the worship associate for this morning. If you are a visitor here and would like to stay in touch, like us to stay in touch with you, please fill out the visitor form you will see in the chat box. The chat feature has been disabled except for chatting directly with the tech host. If you are having problems with Zoom, use the chat function to raise hand or the raised hand function in Zoom. You are encouraged to change your pronouns on Zoom. To change your pronoun or your name, click on the participants button at the top of the Zoom window. Next, hover your mouse over your name in the participants list on the right side of the Zoom window. Click on Rename. Our next service next Sunday is going to be lay-led by Ariana Abel. This will give our staff and worship volunteers a much-needed break, and this will be a Zoom-only service with short readings and recorded music. The service will be abbreviated without a sermon or homily. You have an opportunity to meet with Reverend Kevin. If you want to build a connection with Reverend Kevin, please join one of the chats with the minister or schedule an appointment with him on Calendly. He's setting up appointments on Sunday, December 12th from 1 to 7 p.m. 1 to 2 p.m. Okay. I think I need my glasses. 1 to 2 p.m. Yeah, that's better. For him, anyway. Okay. Each month, Northwest shares 50% of the plate collections with a local 501c3 organization. The Social Justice and Outreach team has selected the Ruth Ellis Center as our November plate collection recipient. If you wish to donate, you text your amount plus plate, for example, $20 plate to 248-574-8034. That's 248-574-8034. And the Ruth Ellis Center provides trauma-informed services for lesbian, gay, bi, attractional, transgender, and questioning youth and young adults, with an emphasis on young people of color experiencing homelessness, involved in the child welfare system, and or experiencing barriers to health and well-being. The center is located in Highland Park and serves the entire Detroit metropolitan area, and Northwest has been a consistent supporter of them. Also, we have Thanksgiving basket gift cards this year. Because of the pandemic, we're not doing the gift baskets like we usually do. So 100% of the plate collections during the month of November will go towards the Southfield Emergency Needs Fund for purchase of gift cards to give to local Southfield families in need. Now, this is separate from the 50% one I just mentioned, so you'd have to designate in your text $20 basket, or, well, whatever amount you want to put in to 248-574-8034. And I believe that is it.
Morning, everybody. My name is the Reverend Kevin DeBeck. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And before we do a chalice lighting this morning, there's two things that I want to mention to you all. One, for our ritual today, if you don't have one in front of you or nearby, I highly encourage you all to grab something to write with and something to write on, as our gratitude ritual entails writing. If you don't have any of those things, we will open the chat so that way you can write them in the chat and somebody will read them. And I'll explain more about that when we get to it. I also want to address the verdict in Wisconsin this past week. It was a reminder to me that the work with the eighth principle this congregation is doing and our faith as a whole, it's showing that the need for anti-racism work is not done, and this is something that I'm glad we are doing, and I'm sure you all had the same range of emotions I did when I heard the verdict. And sadly, how unsurprised a lot of people were. And it points up to how far we have to go as a country to create justice for everybody, not just for a select few. So with that in mind, here's our chalice lighting for this morning by Katie Gelfand. And she says, "We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary and online, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is this sharing of this a hallowed time together that sustains us."
Our opening words are by the Reverend Maureen Killeran, and it's titled, "T is for Turkey and Tofu." T starts out with turkey and with tofu and together. H reminds us of happiness, may it grow beyond all measure. A means all who are returning, a reunion in fall. N for newcomers to our fellowship, and hearty welcome to all. K for kind friends with whom we share dinner. S means surely you'll have fun, but you won't get thinner. G is generosity to share what we've been given. I for integrity, may we bring it to our living. V is very special because of each one here. I, we give thanks for individuals, for each one is so dear. N stands for this nation and its challenges and strength. G reminds us of our blessings and calls us to give thanks. Lost my script. Okay, our hymn is "We Stand Together." It's hymn number 349 in Singing the Living Tradition.
We gather together in joyful thanksgiving, proclaiming creation whose bounty we share. Both sorrow and gladness we find now we are living. We sing
We Are Still Here by Tracy Sorrell. Our native nations have always been here. We are indigenous to the continent we now call North America. Our leaders are sovereign and have power to make rules. Our ways of life have changed when white people arrived from Europe. In 1776, white people broke free from England and created their own country called the United States of America, which affected our lives even more. Like European rulers before them, the leaders of the new US government signed legal agreements called treaties with our Native Americans. These treaties recognized the sovereignty of the Native nations to exercise control and power over our people and lands. But some treaties forced Native people to leave our homes or see the lands where our ancestors lived. The US government made promises to Native nations in almost 400 treaties altogether. But the federal government did not always keep its promises to the tribes. Most of the time, their laws and policies have been devastating. Most people did not know what happened to Native nations and our citizens after treaty making stopped in 1871. Despite the continued occupation of our homelands, regular attacks on our sovereignty, and being mostly forgotten in US culture, Native nations all say, "We are still here." A simulation was known as presentation. Most US leaders did not respect our ways and thought it would be better for us to adopt their beliefs and practices. From the country's earliest days, white men sought to weaken our Native nations' power to govern, destroy Native families by taking our children away, outlaw our sacred places, punish us for speaking our own languages. Even under all these harsh laws, Native nations say, "We are still here."
Key's presentation. White people wanted to control and sell even more of our tribal lands. Native nations had already given up larger pieces of land for smaller ones in treaties. In fact, the United States passed laws that divided up the remaining allotted lands of many tribes, gave a certain amount of land to each tribal citizen, and sold the leftover land to white settlers and railroad companies. In spite of all of this, Native nations say, "We are still here." Relocation, Katie's presentation. The federal government wanted us to leave our tribal lands and live and act more like white people. So Congress passed a law that pushed aside the fact that indigenous people are separate under law with rights as citizens of our native nations and of the United States, encouraged us to move to cities far from our tribal homes, promised jobs and schooling to those who moved, and led to populations of poor native people with little support in cities. Even with our people scattered throughout the country, Native nations say, "We are still here."
Tribal activism. Native citizens continue to speak up, organize, and increase our long-standing commitment to strengthen tribal sovereignty, speak out about termination and relocation, recover our lands and harvest traditional foods, draw attention to Native people's lack of sufficient health care, and help students go to college, including on tribal lands. With our collective voice and presence, Native nations say, "We are still here." Indian child welfare and education. Native nations care about the welfare and education of our children. We need to stop officials in various states from removing thousands of our children from their families and placing them in non-native homes. Native nations prompted Congress to approve laws that blocked state officials from taking our children without notifying our tribe, focused on Native children staying with family or other tribal citizens, and addressed the specific education needs of Native children in our communities. To protect and provide for our future generations, Native nations say, "We are still here." Sovereign resurgence. Having survived disease, war, and federal rules meant to destroy us and our way of life, Native nations continue to exercise our sovereignty. Together we take action to speak up for the land, water, and resources everyone needs to live, look after our citizens' health, education, and safety, share information with the United Nations about our treatment in the United States, and work together to shape federal and state policies that affect our citizens. All the while we say, "We are still here."
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Hard to believe, but Thanksgiving is almost upon us. This will mark the second Thanksgiving under the shroud and uncertainty of COVID, and I hope it's the last one. But as vaccine rates falter, which give rise to new and more dangerous variants, it can feel overwhelming, and the light at the end of the tunnel seems to be moving further and further away. It's been an exhausting, anxiety-ridden time of our lives, and I think I can honestly speak for everyone by saying we are collectively over it. Unfortunately, the virus is not done with us yet. So while we try to figure out ways to deal with all of the fear and uncertainty for the second COVID Thanksgiving, I thought we could spend some time talking about gratitude. First, let's define what gratitude is. Webster's dictionary describes gratitude as the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation and return that kindness. With all the negativity that surrounds us on a daily basis, showing appreciation and kindness almost feels like a revolutionary act. It shouldn't be, but it does feel that way. In doing research for my remarks today, I came across an article titled "How Gratitude Changes You and Your Brain," written by Joshua Brown and Joel Wong on the website The Greater Good magazine, and I think it was an offshoot from somewhere in Berkeley, California. And this was published in June of 2017. They point out in a study where college students that sought mental health support were given the task of writing gratitude journals, and they broke the results down into 4 categories that demonstrated how keeping a gratitude journal improved the mental health of those in the study. And here are the words from the article and the 4 things that they discovered. So the first one is, gratitude unshackles us from toxic emotions. Those in the gratitude writing group used a higher percentage of positive emotion words and we words, in a lower proportion of negative emotion words than those in another writing group that just wrote stuff. However, people who used more positive emotion words and more we words in their gratitude letters didn't necessarily have better mental health later. It was only when people used fewer negative emotion words in their letters that they were significantly more likely to report better mental health. So perhaps this suggests that gratitude letter writing produces a better mental health by shifting one's attention away from toxic emotions such as resentment and envy. Number 2, gratitude helps even when you don't share it. And these are the authors saying, we told participants who were assigned to write gratitude letters that they weren't required to send their letters to their intended recipient. In fact, only 23% of participants who wrote gratitude letters sent them. But those who didn't send their letters enjoyed the benefits of experiencing gratitude nonetheless. This suggests that the mental health benefits of writing gratitude letters are not entirely dependent on actually communicating that gratitude to another person. So it was enough to just write it down and think about it, is what they're saying there. Number 3, gratitude's benefits takes time. It's important to note that the mental health benefits of gratitude writing in our study did not emerge immediately, but gradually accrued over time. Although the different groups in our study did not differ in mental health levels 1 week after the end of the writing activities, Individuals in the gratitude group reported better mental health than the others 4 weeks after the writing activities, and this difference in mental health became even larger 12 weeks after the writing activities. So change always comes slowly over time. And the fourth one, gratitude has lasting effects on the brain. The writers studied the brains of people who gave money out of gratitude and those who donated out of guilt or obligation. We found that across the participants, when people felt more grateful, their brain activity was distinct from brain activity related to guilt and the desire to help a cause. More specifically, we found that when people who are generally more grateful gave more money to a cause, they showed greater neural sensitivity in the medial prefrontal cortex, a brain area associated with learning and decision making. This suggests that people who are more grateful are also more attentive to how they express gratitude. So, while I am not going to suggest you all start writing gratitude journals, but if you wanted to do that in your own time, please do. I would like for everyone to grab something to write with and something to write on. And if you don't have easy access to those things, go ahead and type your answers into the chat box, which will be read aloud. Oh, and I want to say that before we get into this ritual was done in collaboration with the Reverend Teresa Rohick, who is the UU minister in Ann Arbor. She and I kind of worked on this together. If you do have something to write with and on, I would advise you to keep what you have written somewhere where you can read it and reflect on it, especially on the occasion where maybe you're having a bad day, or you're watching the news when they announce that COVID numbers are going in the wrong direction. And we're going to do this in 2 parts. So here's the first part of our ritual. Write down something you have gratitude for. Write down something you have gratitude for. And here's an example. I am grateful that my old rust bucket of a van has held together, which has allowed me to go back and forth from here to Elkhart, Indiana. And it's also given me the privilege of serving you all as your transition to your next settled minister. Now, I'll give you a few moments to write down your thoughts. And if you feel comfortable, Kathy will call on you for you to read them aloud, or if you've written them in the chat, she will read them out loud. So let's go ahead and write down something you are grateful for. All right, do we have anybody willing to share their thoughts this morning?
People are putting things into chat, so everyone should be able to see that.
We have what?
Okay, Ted and Priscilla, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
I am thankful for our church.
Okay.
We got it. Hold on.
Linda, go ahead.
Okay, I am following Reverend Kevin. I'm thankful and grateful for my car that I can drive safely because I can see out my windows clearly.
Chris and Beata, you can unmute.
I thought all cars you could see out the windows. Anyways, Linda, I'm grateful for your safety. I am grateful for sunshine and lovely weather. It just makes such a difference in my life.
Thank you. Yes, it does make a big difference. Beth, go ahead.
I am thankful for warm clothes. I'm much more sensitive to cold this year, probably a side effect from chemo, but warm clothes matter.
Yes, they certainly do. Trina.
I am thankful for breakfast sandwiches because our mornings are a little bit crazy. So I love that I can just put something that has protein in the microwave and be done.
Great. Okay. Let's see, anybody else? Let's see, the hamburgers. Can go ahead and let me unmute you. There you go.
Okay, unmute.
You're unmuted.
You're unmuted.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really thankful for the extra years I have had and the advantage that it gives me over such a broad time. I'm 90 years old, had no expectation that I would reach here, and I'm enjoying every day. That seems to be a plus. Thank you.
Thank you. We are certainly glad you are still here with us. Many years more to come. Okay. I don't see anybody else. So go ahead.
Ariana and Tom.
Oh, my view changed in a weird way. Okay, Ariana.
Hello again. So I was writing all these different things and I realized they're all included in one thing. I'm so glad, I'm thankful that the smartphone was invented. It's a camera, it's a photo album, it's a calculator, it's a GPS, it's Facebook, it's game apps, it's a phone, it's texting, it's connection to people. I love a smartphone.
Yes, it has made a big difference for everyone, huh? Especially in the pandemic, it makes a huge assistance. Tom.
Yeah, I'm thankful that actually the games group that I go to and the folk dancing groups have been able to continue on Zoom. It's a little different on Zoom, and to some extent now we're able to do it a bit in person.
Great. Okay. Carol.
Let's see, my videos.
You're unmuted. You're good.
Oh, okay. I'm very thankful for my comfortable house and the money and my own funds to maintain it, including the heat and the electricity and the water, that I have my own funds to be able to maintain the comfort of my house.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for your insights. And now here comes part 2. Again, on your piece of paper or in the chat box, write someone you are grateful for. Someone, a person. And here's an example. I am grateful for my wife who kept encouraging me, even when I had doubts about what this whole seminary thing would be and where it would lead. I'm grateful for my children who have had to endure my absences while I was listening to the call that I couldn't ignore anymore. I'm also grateful for the tech crew here who put all of these things in place that have made streaming possible and who are willing to try new things that will help advance the ministry of this congregation. I'm also grateful to the kindnesses that you all have shown me over the last few months as I learned how to navigate full-time ministry in the midst of a 100-year pandemic. I am grateful for all of these things. So now I'll give you all a few moments and follow the same process as we did last time. Write down someone you are grateful for.
So Linda Morris first, and then the hamburgers.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
I am grateful for Rabbi Olivier from Seattle, whose meditations I go to every time, every weekday, and whose services and classes have kept me going and perhaps maybe made me a little bit Jewish. I am grateful for my sister, who I've spent hours upon hours on the phone. And I'm grateful for my friends from Northwest who have kept me company and been an inspiration during this time. Oh no, you can see me? Oh shoot. Oh, fuck. Oh no, no, no,
That's right. We love to see you. So it's
no.
fun. It's too late now, Linda.
Oh, oh,
All right. Dorothy.
I'm grateful for all my friends at Northwest Church that have been so helpful to Jad and I, and so grateful for their friendship and for the help they've given us, especially for Beata Lemparski, who is a very helpful person. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth.
I have lots of people I'm grateful for, but I'm only going to mention my granddaughter, who talking to her about things, her perspective gives me so much hope for the future.
That's great. Thank you.
Is that everybody? Okay. Before we wrap it up, I should also say I'm grateful for my parents, because without them, I would literally not be here. So I'm grateful for them as well. Thank you for all the sharing that you all have done today. I wish to leave you all with a poem from UU Minister Deborah Hafner. And she says, "May we whisper thank you for all the good that is in our lives. Thank you. May we shout thank you for the abundance of blessings. Thank you. May we feel thank you, thank you, thank you, deep within our hearts and around us right now. May we be thankful down to our bones for this time together. May we take time to feed each other, take care of each other, appreciate and trust each other, and say thank you. It is the only prayer we'll ever need." Our closing hymn today, or I should say closing anthem, is the Thanksgiving song written originally by Mary Chapin Carpenter. Closing words today are from the Reverend Dawn Cooley, and she says, "Let us go into the world singing. Let us go out into the world singing songs that proclaim liberty, songs that turn ashes into garlands, songs that bind up the afflicted and those who mourn, songs that, like oaks, have roots that go deep and stand strong. Let us go into the world singing. We know these songs. They vibrate through time in our very souls. They are songs that give us life. They are songs that give us meaning. They are songs that give us purpose. Now it is our turn to take these life-giving songs out into the world. Let us go now, singing these songs with voices deep and strong. And may the world join us in praise and in celebration and in love. Amen.
We give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.